meeting from Europe, and good evening, Faran, joining us from Dubai.
My pleasure.
Welcome, everybody. It is nice having you present today. So, welcome.
Hi, I'm very happy to see so many known faces and the people I love. So, welcome to our event.
So I have the great pleasure to be your host for the first meeting organized this year by Customer Experience Romania. Before we will start, just to tell you a few rules of the game. The event is recorded and will be available for YouTube Customer Experience Romania channel. Related to the questions, you can ask them into the chat or raise hand on the Q&A sessions, which will be at the end of each presentation. So guys, let's go. The project started a few years before, offered customer experience world community, the first book, where 22 international customer experience professionals share their best thinking on achieving impact and visibility through world-class best practice CX. It happened in 2019, and each following year, the second and the third volume of the book were released. This year, on February 1st, volume 4 was released on Amazon. Today's meeting is special for us for two reasons. We launched for the first time in Romania Customer Experience book, volume 4, only 1 week since it was live on Amazon. And the second reason it is that we celebrate the first contribution of a Romanian professional, Gabriela Ciupitu, Gabriela being one of the 18 contributors to the book. Now, let me present you the guest we have today. I already mentioned Gabriela. She's a passionate certified customer experience professional and co-founder of the first CX dedicated consultancy company in Romania. Faran Niaz, CEO and founder of CX Future, with over 25 years in customer experience, he's practitioner and consultant offering help to global organizations, corporations, and companies in creating, enhancing, and transforming their CX setups. And our third guest, Naeem Arif, it is the initiator of Customer Experience book series, a highly experienced business owner and management consultant, winner of numerous awards and author of 8 books, which have been Amazon bestsellers, published in English, Mandarin, and Russian. And now, to start with our guests, I will give the floor to Naeem. Naeem, thank you for being here today. Could you please help me introducing yourself and tell us the CX book series story?
Thank you, Adrian and Gabriela. It is lovely to be on this Zoom with you guys and everyone who's watching. So my name is Naeem Arif. I'm based in Birmingham in England. And through my life, we have had many businesses which have been in the retail and the hospitality sector. As a family, and I've also been a management consultant. I did my training with Pricewaterhouse, and I've worked for some big companies like British Airways, the BBC, Emirates, Jaguar Land Rover. So my experience has been in corporate consulting, has been across sectors, a lot of retail experience, a lot of manufacturing experience. And about 5 years ago, I wrote this book called Customer First, which you can just see. And when I wrote this book, after this book, I got to meet someone who is very famous. Everybody knows Ian Golding. And as Ian and I were sitting and we were talking, and I was actually doing his mastermind course. So if you haven't seen it, his mastermind course is brilliant. Ian said, oh, it would be great if we had a book on CX, which was, bringing in small stories. So we all know who are the CX superstars. We have Faran here, who is a really well-known person from around the world. But what about the small people? The people who don't get the chance to tell their stories. And as we was talking on this course, we came up with the idea to write Customer Experience 1. And in Customer Experience 1, the idea was to try and find 12 people who had never written a book before. And we ended up with 22. And then we wrote Customer Experience 2, 3, and now 4. So we've written lots of books, and all of these, the idea is to get the story from those people who are really on the front line, who are really working with customers, and those people who don't always get the chance and the limelight to tell their story. Because for me personally, customer experience is a very personal thing. It is not just down to textbooks, and it's not just down to the big names and celebrities who should tell us what customer experience is. When you are, when you're at an airport and you're traveling, then you will have a customer experience. And in Customer Experience 4, Steiner was able to tell her story. And when you're working in a bank and you're trying to make the customer experience better, then there is a story. And Farhan tells a story in Customer Experience 4 about how that complicated, that money business, how the customer experience side of it can evolve. And that's why we write these books. And the last thing I'll say, Adrian, is that the books aren't designed to make any money. Okay, we write the books, we sell them very cheap. The idea is always to share your story, the author, with the audience. So anybody reading can get a lot of information and theory from the CCXP or other customer experience bodies and professionals. But what we really want to do is we want everyone to be able to share their story of how they have made a difference in customer experience. And that's the Customer Experience book series story. It's for people and it's for sharing stories.
Oh, thank you, Naeem. You wrote in every book from Customer Experience 1 till the last one. The chapter in book number 4, it's entitled How to Convert Complaints into Retainers, to design a process that can win your customers. You have developed so many complaint strategies and processes. What are the things that we have to take into consideration regarding this topic? Can you give us some clues?
Yeah. So when we were planning Customer Experience 4, CX4, we were talking about what kind of topics shall we have, and everybody is now impacted by COVID, and COVID has impacted us in so many different ways. People are now more used to Amazon maybe than they were 3 years ago. And for that reason, if you order something from Amazon, it comes within 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. And also if you complain to Amazon, it gets resolved quickly. So just as an example, the fact that people are more used to this, this product of COVID, online ordering, people are now expecting everybody to do the same. And for that reason, when we started back after COVID, when I started working with my clients, they were saying we are getting more complaints. And I started talking more about how, what are good ideas and how to deal with complaints. And that's why the idea for the chapter came for CX4. Let me answer your other question. So what are the things, and why did I call the chapter this topic? Why did I give you this title? My big thought is that if you are a business and someone is complaining to you, then don't look at the complaint and think, oh dear, I've lost the customer. Okay, don't think that. Think the customer is giving you a chance to fix the complaint and the customer wants to buy from you again. So that's why the topic of the chapter is to convert complaining customers into retained customers, okay? It's not separate. The two things are not separate. They can be the same thing. And that's why I wrote this chapter. And I think the most important thing about complaints is that complaints can happen for lots of reasons. Often, it is no one's fault that a complaint has happened. it's often because what the customer wanted and what the vendor supplied are slightly different, okay? There's a mismatch. So it's sometimes not as if something is big, there's not a big problem. So for that reason, it's really important that when you start dealing with a complaint, always start with a friendly attitude, not, oh my God, I got a complaint, I got to deal with this customer. No, start with a customer first attitude, a friendly attitude. Start with, I'm sorry you had a problem. Let's see how I can help you. So that's the first thing. Straight away, the customer is on your side because they know you're here to help them. The second thing is try and work out how we can fix the issue. That's what the customer wants. The customer wants to know that, is my issue going to be fixed quickly? And am I going to be able to carry on enjoying my transaction? And the third thing I always talk about is that when you've had that complaint, try and wow that customer. So I had a complaint, my product was damaged or my product was late. Okay, great. So number one, tell me how you're going to fix it. And number two, wow me by giving me a little voucher, maybe a little discount. And if you can't do anything like that, make sure you say thank you to me. Thank you, I'm sorry, make me feel valued. So some very little things that you can do in order to turn that complaining customer into a retained customer. I mean, the chapter has a lot more in it, which I hope the readers will read. But importantly, don't think from your mindset, don't think that when a customer complains, I've lost the customer. Think, how do I turn this one around?
Well, indeed, I am now in a project, I have to admit, where we have to deliver an, let's say, complaint management outside of the box. And your chapter was, I would say, one of the pillars that influence the way we will present to our customer the complaint management. But Naeem, have you seen an evolution of the complaints? Have you seen a difference between complaints made 10 years before, let's say, to those made now by customers? Maybe after the pandemic, things changed?
Yeah, I think let's go back 20 years. Okay, if we go back 20 years, certainly in England, it is very British to not complain, right? We get in the queue, we stand behind each other, we don't complain, okay? So 20 years ago, a complaint was, people would be scared of making a complaint. And then over time, we get this mentality of where there's a claim, where there's a complaint, there's a claim, So people are now more ready to complain and ask for compensation. So definitely that has happened. Also with technology and, I always use the Amazon example, with other companies setting the standard now for service, then people feel they will complain about small things, okay? So I think over 20 years, complaints has changed completely. We want to order something, we want it tomorrow. We want the right size, color, everything. So complaints have definitely changed in 20 years. Let's go back, say 3 or 4 years. Something simple like the time for delivery, or something simple like not being able to get access to someone 24 hours a day. That has 100% changed. People now, if they are able to order from your business at 8 p.m. at night, they expect to be able to complain at 8 p.m. at night. If they're ordering from you using their phone, okay, I'm using my phone to complain, to order, I want to use my phone to complain. I want someone available 24 hours a day. There are all these things which are happening, which have changed in the last 2 or 3 years. The fact that now when we work, we are almost working 24/7 as a business, because of home working, people are working all the time. That has changed. So there's a lot of things that have changed. Now, one thing I will say is you don't, as a business owner, have to provide 24/7 support, but you do need to be able to provide 24/7 response. So if I'm on an airplane, I'm going on a holiday, yeah, it's important that I maybe 2 o'clock in the morning in a different country, in an airport, I may need some help. But if I'm a retailer and I am looking to complain about a product at 2 o'clock in the morning at 2 a.m., then it's reasonable that I won't get a response from a person, but I should get some response. I should be able to find on your website where I can complain. I should be able to find some response which says our office hours are between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. So if you can't provide 24 hours service, provide 24/7 responses, if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense. Listening to the customers, listening to their voice, listening to their complaints, and taking actions, but not only for the good sake of taking actions, but taking actions will improve your services, will improve your products. However, from your perspective, are there any tips for anticipating complex complaints that you can give us?
I would say the most important thing is you have to have an attitude to wanting to fix complaints. So we have a carpet business called United Carpets. It's a big business in the UK. There's 78 stores across the UK. And one of the things that we try and do is we look at complaints every few months, and we then move the complaint further in the process. So let me get you one example. One of the most common complaints we used to get from customers was when they're buying new carpet, they didn't remove the old carpet. So a installation will happen and the customer still has their bed and their cupboard and their carpet on the floor. So when we come to fit, it was a problem. Now, we decided that instead of having 20 of those complaints every week, we will bring that in the start of our process. So now in the booking process, we ask you the question in advance and we say, do you have this problem? And do you like the service that we remove it for you? Because if we ask them, then we can charge them and we can arrange for it. But if we don't ask them, because we are scared to ask them, in case the customer complains early, we're creating a bigger problem later. So my first tip, an important tip, is that if you know there's a regular problem, don't be scared to bring the problem to the customer early in the process. My second tip is that you should regularly review complaints that are happening, because otherwise we are not learning. And the third thing I'm going to say is, in this day and age, we have so much data from our customers. Don't deal with complaints by typing. Okay, it's the worst thing. It's the worst thing. If I type, if Adrian sends me a message and I say, and Adrian says it's urgent, and I type back 1 minute, Adrian is not going to be happy, and that 1 minute will feel like 10 minutes. Yeah. But if I can talk on the phone to somebody, it reduces the tension, and you're able to talk to a customer and explain in simple words what is happening, ask them the problem. So if you can talk to customers by voice, verbally, it reduces a lot of problems. Because I've seen this a lot of times. We get a complaint in most sectors, and then we don't deal with it, and that one complaint becomes 2, 3, 4, becomes multiple complaints. The same problem becomes bigger. Whereas it is sometimes easier to pick up the telephone, call the customer and say, hi, I'm calling from, and I understand you have a complaint. Can you explain to me what the problem is? So my third thing is, if you can talk to a customer, you'll often get to the answer much faster than if you type to a customer. And that would be 3 things I would say that I have seen and I would recommend for reducing your complaints and increasing your customer satisfaction. That's what we want, right?
Excellent, Naeem. Thank you for your, I will not say answers, I would say sharing your thoughts and your ideas. I can continue by asking you a number of questions because it's really intriguing, this subject. I'm looking on the chat and I cannot see any question coming from audience. Therefore, I will thank you so much for, I would say, for initiating the project a few years before, making it happen and keeping live year by year the book. And thank you for being present today with us. If you can still stay with us a few minutes, maybe some questions will pop in. If not, then I would like to introduce you our next guest, and I will do it like this. And the winner of the best banking customer experience in United Arab Emirates awards goes to, and this is how starts Faran Niaz chapter, a CX success story from number 23 to number 1 bank in customer experience. What a story. Still beyond the story, there is Faran magic touch. Faran, I have to start by congratulating you for your presence in the international customer experience activities, the support and contribution to the customer experience professionals.
Thank you.
Could you please introduce yourself to our audience, please?
Sure. Thank you very much. I'm so intrigued. I was so keenly listening to Naeem, and what an amazing chapter he's also written. First of all, Gabriela, Adrian, thank you so much for inviting me on this forum. I'm so honored and delighted to be here. And I'm very excited to be addressing the Romanian community as well. I think if I'm not wrong, I can say hello to them like Bună ziua. I don't know if this is correct pronunciation or not, but I worked on it. So a very warm welcome and hello from Dubai. That's where I am based. 25 years in the field of customer experience. I started my career with Citibank. I was 10 years with Citibank. I headed this the customer service position, and last 3 years I spent my time with Citibank Russia. I was the head of customer service for Citibank Russia. That's when United Arab Emirates, Dubai got me, tracked, and I moved to UAE. And for the next 15 years, I was head of customer experience, director of customer experience to two of the largest banks here. Last 1 year has been unbelievable. I think I rediscovered myself. I've been in the scene of customer experience for some time now. I've also added to the top 100 CX global thought leaders of the world. And this is amazing to be part of CX4. To be writing one of the chapters is like a dream come true.
Sorry, I was on mute. Okay. Faran, I enjoy reading your chapter, and I must say that I know the story from when it happened, because it was a real story and it was published in different articles and in newspapers.
Yes.
Tell us, please, how banks are ranked in Dubai on customer experience? I'm really intrigued to find out.
Sure. I think it's a very interesting question. And I came to this reality when one day I was in a seminar. And when I finished my presentation, I was going down the stairs, and this very nicely turned out gentleman, local guy, he came to me and he said, I'm the CEO of this particular bank, and I want you to come and fix my customer service. And it's really, really bad. And I said, okay, but what does it mean? He said, oh, by the way, do you know that we are ranked number 23 out of 27 banks? And then I sat down and I said, could you please make me explain what does this ranking mean? And anyways, I was very excited. I joined them. And then it came to my attention that there is a semi-government body, which is called the Ethos Consultancy, in association with UAE government. Every year, they mystery shop all the banks to a certain criteria, and then they publish their results and rank the organizations, all the banks, in terms of who's number 1, number 2, and 3 in terms of. So they have a huge criteria. It's like probably based on 400 different criterias, covering everything from call center to complaint resolution unit to response rates to branch banking to digital banking, to every aspect of the banking. So they rate every banks on a single criteria, and then they publish. Now, the good thing about this one is why it is so rated very well is because this is not an opt-in like many other awards or any rankings. It's like whoever enters that race gets 1, 2, 3. In this particular one, they go and themselves rate everyone, and it's published in the newspaper. Nobody has I as a bank, even if I'm not good, I can't go to this organization and say, please don't rank me. I want to be out of this race. Everybody's ranked. UAE government very closely looks at it. In fact, we were very privileged. When the first time when we got number one, because we were number one for 7 consecutive years, we were personally invited by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed to his office, and they said, we want you to present and see how did you, do this journey. So it was very, very exciting. So this here, it's a science in this part of the world.
I would say that it's not only a science, it's a mindset, a full mindset, which leads the customer experience in Dubai. Faran, what is the magic ingredients that banks should put on the dish to exceed customer experience? And how did you lead? How did you achieve this considerable achievement? Because it was not only 1 year when the bank sit on the first place. It was for how many years? Consecutive.
From 23 to 1 and then 7 consecutive years.
So what's the magic ingredient, Faran?
It's a bit difficult to put it on into one simple thing, but I think when I look back, it's multiple aspects. And I think the most important is the mindset, as you said, the culture of the organization. Unless and until you're truly customer-centric, you cannot really go. I like what Steve Jobs said. I mean, this is one of the mantras and he said, get close to your customers. So close that you know what they want before they tell you. And that's what you start doing. You start getting to know your people. You make sure that your own staff understands it. So there are multiple pillars to it. Just like when you're reading a good book, and that book has a plot, has a story. Similarly, customer experience needs to have a story, a vision, and a mission as well. So I realized that when you walk into the organization and you start talking to everybody, and everybody understands what customer experience is, but nobody knows what their role is. Nobody knows how important they are. And especially a person who's sitting in the back office and you say, so what role do you play in customer experience? He says, I'm sorry, I am not a customer experience person. I'm a operation guy. And then you realize how they don't understand that every piece in the organization plays such an important part, and they need to understand. And when you sit with them and then when you make them understand that what their role in this entire piece is, it becomes like a one unit and it starts working in direction. I have so many stories that I can narrate. For example, in the beginning, the biggest challenge was to make them understand that customer experience and what we do is not audit. Most of the organizations front end understand, they think that, for example, when you go and publish scores, NPS or any CSAT, this branch is the best one, this branch did well, or this unit has highest NPS, this unit has lowest NPS. You need to make sure that you make them understand that you are you're their partner and you're there to help them improve. And I'll tell you one very interesting story. I started publishing numbers. We had 100+ branches. So every month I would do mystery shopping and surveys, and I would start publishing numbers, and those numbers go to the CEO and everyone. And my numbers are very colorful. Whoever has done well is in green, and amber color, and red, whoever is under. So I would pick up the phone and call the guy, the branch manager who has the best score, and say, well done, excellent, stay there, I'm there to help you, you've done a great job. And then my next call is to the guy or branch manager who has the lowest score, and say, do you know that your friend is on the top and he's done well? I want you to be there. We want you to be the best as well. He said, yes, Faran, I want to be there. Please tell me, what do I need to do? So you create this very interesting internal competition within the people that intrigues them and that pushes them into a direction. I'm not joking. 1,500 front-end people, I met everyone. I made it a point that in the first 2-3 months, I connected with all of my front-end stuff. I was more connected with the people who were delivering service than the people who I was reporting to. I made sure that they understood what the vision was, what we wanted to achieve, how proud they would feel if we achieve it. And can you imagine when we achieved it? And this is how my chapter starts. When they announce that you are the #1 bank and everybody stands up and claps, the whole is clapping. and everybody's hugging each other, because that day you realize all the hard work that you've done is so. If I take a quick, I was keen on talking on this one. Maybe I can share my screen quickly and show you a couple of things that that helped.
Yes, please. You have you can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, you have the rights. Yeah.
Can you see this?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, you can see this strategy model. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Now, one thing, let me clarify. I am not a person who advocates models. Customer experience and true customer experience is not about models, because models are good for management. Models are excellent to project your strategy, but front end, it's the strategies. However, I just wanted to quickly talk about this model. Here is the mission and vision. So first thing you do is you create a mission and a vision. Be very clear. How do you define? Like my mission was to be #1 bank in customer experience in the region, whichever region we work with. Simple. And then it's defined into the roles. Now, this is your role. This is your role. And you define the different roles. We created measures. I took all the global measures. I made sure that the beauty about customer experience is that it's not related to an industry. So if somebody says, Faran, you were running a CX for a bank, I was running CX for customers, and it doesn't matter where the customers belong to. So I made sure that I brought in the hospitality industry. I got my front-end people trained from Jumeirah group of Hospitality Training Institute, which trains the pilots and staff of Emirates Airline, and it trains the front-end staff of Jumeirah Hotels, which is the best hotels in UAE. I myself got trained from Disney Institute. I went to Zappos, which is probably one of the best customer experience organizations in the world, and made sure that I brought those strategies and implemented those into my customer experience. So we created those hospitality trainings. We created the whole omni-channel. Naeem was talking about complaints. As a head of customer experience, my role was to make sure that all channels are fit together. Call center, branches, backend, IT, HR, everyone plays a role. Every month, I would run a service quality council meeting. I would chair it. The people who would attend are only the decision makers: CEO, group heads, branch heads, and unit heads. We would pick up the top 5 complaints of that month. We would pick up the feedback received from different customers and pick up the top 5 issues, and we would sit down and not leave that room till we took a decision and made sure, and my responsibility was to follow up and make sure that all those decisions were taken care of. I will leave this, my chapter has this model there so people can read it. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but I will move on to one, and you told me, Faran, how did you do it? If you read this top line, your most valuable asset is the employees. To me, organization who will understand that customer experience is driven through employees. That's where the passion comes from. Somebody asked the CEO of Starbucks, all the Starbucks that we go to anywhere in the world, everybody's smiling. Everybody treats us so well. There are thousands of people in your Starbucks everywhere, so many branches. How do you train these people? And do you know what the answer he gave? He said, I don't train people to smile. I make sure that I hire people who love to smile. It's a passion. So I also made sure that all my front-end people, all the people who were serving the customer, regardless of which channel they were taken care of. They were the most important people, and we gave them the tools where they can go. And like, for example, I listed a few things in my chapter. Listen to your employees. When I started, and I said in the beginning, I met all those 1,500 people. I sat with them and I said, tell me, what do you want? Tell me what's stopping you from serving a good customer or giving an exceptional experience. And you know what? The staff were shocked. A teller stood up and said, but nobody has ever talked to me before at your level. You're too senior. How come you're sitting with me and asking me this question? We don't realize that they're the ones who are talking to the customers. They know exactly what the customer wants. You want to listen to the customer? Listen to the staff first. Involve and motivate them, involve them in anywhere. Whatever decision I took, whatever journey mapping I did, I made sure that in my team, I had a representative from every unit. And then they felt that they were part of the whole strategy. Empower them. The biggest mistake that we're making, we go and tell people, oh, please go and promise customers, help customers. And staff is very excited. They go, no problem, sir, please apply for the credit card and you'll get it in 2 days. And guess what? The back office actually takes 7 days. You can't make a promise that cannot be fulfilled. So I made sure that those bridges were gapped. Whatever was being promised was delivered at the back office and everywhere as well. So you give them the empowerment. Recognize, reward, take care of your people. So that's why I wrote this thing, that customer experience, user experience, employee experience is equal to return on experience. So it's very simple formula. Customer experience plus employee experience is your return. That's where the return is coming from. My CEO one day called me and he said, Faran, I'm very unhappy with you. I said, why? We're doing very well. We're doing, mashallah, we're reaching the top. And he said, but you don't fire people. Go fire someone. Because when I hear a complaint, find that person who did this complaint and I want you to create I said, never in my 25 years, I've never hired a person because that's my challenge, to convert this non-performer into a performer. So when you sit with those people, understand their problems, they turn out to be your best advocates. I'm sorry I'm taking time, but I like to tell these stories, because I hope I have a few minutes. There is one strategy that really worked very well in this part of the world. And I mean, I worked in Russia, I worked in Turkey, in many parts of the world, and everywhere there's a different way you handle customers and employees. So I used to make sure that whenever a customer gave a good response or a good feedback or a compliment, I would write a nice story and spread it to everyone. CEO, copy to their supervisors, send to everybody. So everybody reads that there is, let's say, Adrian, who did a great job. Gabriela, as a customer, went to Adrian. Adrian was amazing. They went to a certain branch in Romania and everything was beautiful. So I write the names. I make sure everybody's highlighted. So everybody, and next mail is going out because there is a customer complaint. I would say a customer went to a branch and met a staff member. This is what happened. This is what should have happened. This is the way. You know what happens? Next call is from the branch manager of that branch and say, Faran, thank you very much for not taking our name. We know that you're talking about us. We will make sure that this will not happen again. But we really respect that you did not humiliate us in front of everyone. And they said, now tell us what you want us to do. We'll do it for you. So you take care of the people, and genuinely you take care of the people, and people recognize. And I had to fight for the reward and recognition. And very quickly, I know you guys are, for me, feedback is the treasure. And here I've very clearly written, it's not just the voice of the customer. Please understand, you need to talk about voice of the business, which is the voice of the customer, voice of the employee, voice of the process. So you need to listen to the voice, and very important, voice of the action. You know what the voice of the action is? Some people don't complain. Some people don't give you the feedback. You send them surveys, they will not talk, but they will take an action. For example, they will stop dealing with you. They will stop buying your stuff. They'll stop renewing your things. They will stop talking to you. That action tells you that this person is about to leave. So you need to listen to the action of the customer as well, not just the voice of the customer. So a lot of things. So I created a lot of measures. I got those measures connected with the business measures and make sure that those benchmarks, I can go on and on, but I think I'll let people read the story.
So far, you are really inspiring. I wonder when you have made for the last time your blood analysis, have you asked the level of customer experience passion, you have it in your blood? Probably not. You should do it next time.
This is the beauty about customer experience, that it is so versatile. It is so amazing. Every day I go to restaurant, I don't know, you can't see my background, but my background is full of Lego. I'm into Lego, I'm into stuff. And I gather those stories. Maybe next chapter that I'll write is going to be all this customer experience stories, my own stories, the things that I've experienced all over the world. I can write a full book on, and it's so fascinating because every time you experience something and you have a different eye and you start analyzing, oh, this person could have done this. Wow, this person did something amazing. And you feel like telling to somebody. So why can't you have, I don't understand why I wouldn't have this energy when every day I get so much experience from everywhere that I go in, and I learn so much new. I'm learning every day from different experiences.
Great. So Faran, if you look on the chat, you'll see a lot of messages of appreciation on related to your energy, to what you transmit to us. Maybe we should think and schedule a dedicated session with you in Romania.
I would love to.
You know, our colleagues from the banking industry, they have questions, and one of them, briefly asking, is coming from Anca Șerbănescu. Thank you, Anca, for the question. Question is, what would you say are the main challenges of customer experience in banking?
Okay. First of all, thank you very much, Anca. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being there and for this question. It's a very interesting question, and thank you for it. There are multiple challenges. For me, unfortunately, today, I'll talk about a couple of things which I feel. I'm a big advocate of digitalization and transformation. But I think today organizations have lost track of human element. If you cannot mix humanity with technology, it will fail. You must understand that technology is a driver. Technology is not experience. Nothing can replace a smile, an emotion, a gesture. We are human beings. We like to communicate with humans. Here is a bank. I will not take name. If you call the call center, there is no way you can reach an agent. No matter how you try, because they've deliberately done it. Why they've deliberately done it? Because for organization now, technology is equal to cost save. If I'm putting money into technology, let's remove people. They don't realize that maybe when a human being wants to talk to somebody in a call center, maybe they have urgency. Maybe I've lost my card. Great, the technology allows me to block the card, but maybe I need to hear a voice which will give me comfort and say, don't worry, it's been taken care of. Even if a transaction appears, the bank will take. And this will give me a comfort which no technology can give. So one, make sure that your humans are connected still with your people. Second, return on investment is a topic. Everything is return on investment, ROI, CX, ROI. Please move to CX, ROX. Return of experience, not return of investment. I gave this examples a few days ago. I was delivering a lecture on ROI and ROX. Maybe I can do it later on. And I said, do organization go to HR and ask them to prove their ROI as well? An organization would say, oh, let's not do HR because it's going to be expensive. They don't, because they know that HR is important. So why can't they understand that CX is important as well? And it should not defend itself. And it's important. So I think C-suite must understand the importance of, it should not just be, too many organizations are just talking about it. They really don't. NPS has become a global phenomena, but organizations are just gathering data. They don't analyze it. There was a customer who gave 98 score to me, but when I read through the comments said, I am a loyal customer because my generations are banking with your bank, and I will always give you good score, but I'm not happy because your service is going down. And last time when I met somebody, they did not serve me well. I have some suggestions and ideas. And you understand that a good high score does not mean that it shouldn't be ignored. You read through every element, every feedback that is given, and then work on it. If you cannot read the voice of the customer, don't gather it, read it. I can give you a lot of other things as well, but I'm sure there are other questions. So thank you very much for asking this question. I hope I have answered.
Thank you. You do. You did.
All right. Thank you very much.
So Faran, the list of questions is, at least my questions are a few of them, but I will stop here.
Sure. Thank
and
you.
It's a real inspiring how you are transmitting the energy and the passion of the customer experience and your experience, in fact, to the audience. I will not ask you, I will not continue with my questions to give the opportunity to Gabriela to share with the audience a few words. And I would like to introduce Gabriela to the audience, even if most of the people being around the table here, you know her. So, reshape or not reshape customer experience strategy during crisis. Everybody around here, around the table, knows the answer. It was obvious. But during the pandemic period, the companies who reviewed the strategy and took actions accordingly made the difference. It was the to be or not to be number one. And this is how I will handle the floor to Gabriela. So Gabriela, feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm very happy to be with you. I believe you will stay a few minutes after 6. And as a big part of the audience already knows me, as you mentioned, Adrian, I will tell you a story that I could not forget even a few years past. So some years ago, like 12 years, I was visiting my sister in London. And after sightseeing, we stopped to a takeaway pizza restaurant to order food for home. So this was something very normal. But the guy who took our order said that the waiting time for delivery is 20 minutes. Okay, after 20 minutes, the pizza wasn't ready. But the waiter came to us apologizing that our food will have a couple of minutes delay. And when we received the pizza, we also had a nice surprise. The waiter gave us free drinks. Well, this was an experience I could not forget. Moreover, that was a very different situation that I have experienced in Romania at that time. And it was something new for me as a customer. I still have this memory, and more than that, I have decided to have a contribution for better quality services that Romanian customers have. That was, I believe, the starting point in being aware of the importance of CX that has to have for customers and also for companies in the same time. So I hope this story you understand why I tell you, because it was something that an experience that brings memories, and I'm still having in here. My experience within the many years in corporate, in departments that interact with customers, departments that create or adjust products, services, and processes, made me look for more information, expanding my knowledge and activity in CX outside Romania. First of all, through reading the CX books. So this is how I enjoying reading the first CX book. And for this, I want to thank Naeem for this initiative. This led me to start being active after this in our judges team. I interact with professionals from all around the world and to represent Romanian Customer Institute Board of Directors. And is very briefly something about myself.
Thank you, Gabriela. So we talk about experiences. Could you please tell us your experience, the experience you had in writing a chapter in customer experience book?
Yes, I was eagerly willing to find information about best practices in CX, and I'm eagerly more willing to give back my expertise and my knowledge. I feel gratitude in having this opportunity of writing a chapter for CX4, Customer Experience 4 book, which I see like a heading point to my future career as an author too. I hope I have the same impact on other writers, like other writers had to me on the when I was at the beginning of my CX career, I say like that. I'm really enjoying being part of this project. Naeem is an exceptional team player, making the interaction with the entire team of authors and with the publishers to be so smooth and fun. And I must say that we developed a very strong relationship and create like a community of CX authors of the CX books.
Thank you. Gabriela, your chapter, it's about the chapter you wrote in the book. It's about reshaping CX strategy during a crisis period. Mm-hmm. Why do you think the strategy is important for a company generally?
Okay, I decided to write the chapter about this topic because most of the companies have only the business strategy, related figures, technology, as Faran mentioned, and number of employees. But we have to remember that employees are not just FTEs and customers are not just tickets. They both are humans. And at the end of the day, the business purpose is to serve customers and to offer a good place to work for employees. This is my thinking. The CX strategy has to define what kind of experience and memories the organization want to offer to their customers and what kind of work environment offer to their employees in order to have them both engaged and loyal, customers and employees. More than this, organizations which are mature in CX have in their strategy an intentional standard experience they want to deliver to customers no matter where they go. Think at McDonald's, for example. We receive the same experience in our restaurants. The employees have the same speech. Products are the same, location are seamless, and you as a customer know what to expect from these restaurants. So the CX strategy has to include the desired interaction, not only with external customers that pay for services, but also with employees and partners. Having well-defined the standard interactions in every touch point from there is quite easy to know how to adjust the processes, what technologies to implement, and how to develop employees. But you have to have in mind what experience and memories you want to deliver. Of course, that strategy has to be revised, has to be adjusted, because customer behavior changes. With already having a strong foundation of organizational culture, processes, and engaged employees, is more easy to be agile to the unforeseen events and times. But important is to have a strong foundation on this.
Gabi, no matter how the crisis is, either pandemic, either financial crisis, it's a difficult time for any company and the employees in the companies. What would be your advices for an organization for such a tough period?
Yeah, So let's remember, when pandemic started, we all were shocked because in short time our lives looked very different. As employees, most of us work from home. We could not leave our house. The relationship with our customer transformed at 180 degrees. People have been affected, emotional, social, and financial. The statistics said that. Working in banking, I still remember the effort done to communicate with customers financially affected by the pandemic, combining the empathy and right solutions for their security. This was a hot moment 2 years ago of being close to our customers. Another good example are restaurants who rapidly shift their processes and started to deliver food at home. The waiters become drivers, they pack the food and deliver to people, to customers. In time, all these new activities became habits, and this is the new normal. So the customer persona actually changed. They have new needs, they have new behaviors. So now it's been 2 years of pandemic. A lot of businesses transformed their activity to this new normal. I heard a lot these 2 years that organizations must look after their customers and employees. A lot of companies, at least in Romania, founded a CX department. And what does this mean? This is a very good sign that organizations figure it out, that becoming customer-centric is the right and best way to save their businesses. Then, taking in consideration changes from customers' behavior, this means we figure it out with a new customer persona that needs a new customer journey. This is another point. New technology should be aligned with the customer's needs and with an investment in customer education in order to use, they can use properly the apps, the chatbots, the online payments, and any other technology. So we have to educate our customers. And I want to add, last but not least, the relationship with the employees. These are changed. If before pandemic, most of the companies had the work at the office 100%, now most of these companies have a hybrid way or work from home 100%. In this case, communication, trust, and performance management is making the difference for employees' happiness and loyalty. Instead, we must admit that for production industries where employees could not work from home, here the management has to transmit and implement processes to make them feel secure and to be secure about their health and their income, because these two elements make, roughly speaking, an employee to be loyal and engaged.
So we promised.
I hope I answered your question.
Briefly. So we promise that we will try to keep the time frame as much as possible. Still, I will have one more question. It will be the last one from my side. Could you please share with us what are your plans to support development of customer experience in Romania, together with so many specialists that we have in different companies?
Yeah, Adrian, you know that we've met a lot of CX managers in the last months, but I must say to all of you that Customer Experience Romania is not a standard consultancy organization. It is not just about Adrian and myself, but it's an international expertise put together with experienced professionals in CX and the well-defined framework that run in mature organizations. And now Faran is the proof. We intend for Romania not just to tell organization how to be more customer centric, okay, be like this or be like that, think like this or think like that, but also we want to stay close to organizations, to show them how to do things, to implement CX strategies, technologies, and after this to see the result and celebrate success. So this is what we want for Romanian companies. Beyond that, we want to develop a CX community in Romania, a trustful place to share best practices and ask for ideas. And must say that the Romanian market is ready for this. Because we talk with some professionals, and I must say that they were very positive. I believe that this is it. Our plans, roughly speaking, for us. If you have more questions.
There is a question coming from Anka. Thank you, Anka, for asking it, and I will answer because, if you don't mind, because I was the one to say that there are so many specialists in customer experience in Romania. Well, maybe it was not the right phrasing of the question. Compared to a few years before, there are more and more specialists and more companies are opening customer experience department, which is a very good trend, and it is really to be recognized. When we start together with Gabriela talking with different companies in Romania, we find out that they are trying to do their best to develop customer experience officers, specialists, managers, leaders. Name them as you want, but it is a good trend, and we are really happy to support companies in reaching the level we can see in other countries. And what we are doing together with our partners, with Faran, with Naeem, with Young Golding and Anna, this is one action to support the transformation into the direction of high standards of customer experience. So hopefully I answered the question. Anyhow, Gabriela, I have no more questions for you. Thank you for your contribution to the book and to this event. Thank you to all our guests. If there are some more questions, we will take them now, if you are still available to stay with us. Please, Gabi.
Yes, I want to tell something about the book, that the book is not about theory. The book brings together practitioners of CX sharing their stories, their best practices, as Naeem mentioned. This was very useful for me at the beginning, a few years ago. And I must say that the books Customer Experience 1, 2, and 3 were very important for me when I learned to pass my certification, CCXP certification. So take it very seriously, let's say like that. If you want to buy the book, you'll find it on Amazon. It's $1, something like this, on the Kindle version. Also, it's available now on the paperback version. I'm sure that I read some chapters, and I must say that are really, really good, really good.
So I would like to thank Gabriela, Naeem, and Faran for the session. I'd like to thank everybody for participating to this event. And we are looking forward to organize the next meetings in the next period with more interesting subjects and with guests which will energize the audience and transmit good messages and good initiatives that are happening not only Europe, but also in the world. Faran, thank you very much for being here. Naeem, thank you so much. I wish you all the best. Gabriela, you already post. Yeah.
Yes, sorry for that. I was to post the link to Amazon. This is my intention. Just a second. Just a second.
Okay.
Okay, now it's good.
Good.
I also want to thank all the attendees. It was a really pleasure to see you all. I want to thank Faran for being with us today. It's always a pleasure to speak each other. And Faran, I let you tell us a few words at the end of the meeting.
Well, thank you very much. I think the only thing I would say, I'm so excited, the journey that the Romanians have embarked on in the customer experience field. I think the world is such a small place now that you learn from global experts and global what's happening in the world. And I think the direction is right. And with people like you, Gabriela, and people like Adrian, I think they're in the right hands. And whatever role we can play to bring any kind of experience to this market and take it to the best ones, it would be our pleasure too. So thank you once again for inviting.
Thank you. Looking forward to see you very soon, Faran.
Thank you.
And the guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye. Have a great evening.